have Yueh-Han John Chen. He's speaking on chain of controllability. How do reasoning models control their reasoning traces? So, John, yeah, come up.
Hi. Okay, so yeah, my name is John. My mentor is Tomek Korbak, and my project is about CoT controllability. Can reasoning models control their reasoning traces? Okay, so why do we care about this? I bet a lot of you have read this paper, CoT monitorability. So essentially, a lot of top AI safety researchers agree on the fact that we should preserve CoT in natural language because it's easier to catch misbehaviors. But CoT monitors work only when models report their misbehaviors in their CoT. And models that can control their CoTs have the potential to bypass monitors. Therefore, we study CoT controllability eval, trying to understand under which conditions models can control their CoT, and we should or shouldn't fully trust the CoT monitoring results. So we design our eval with two properties in mind. The first one is that if the model passes our eval, it implies that the model has the potential to bypass CoT monitors in a hard to detect way. So we don't include tests that only test some superficial features of the CoT. For example, you change the language or the sentiment of the CoT because they don't have strong safety implications. The second property we care about is we want robust evaluation. So we only include tests that can be evaluated programmatically to just make sure the results is robust. So in our setup, using the two properties that I just mentioned, we focus on keyword and synonym suppression. So we just ask the model, here's the question. Do not use the word blah, blah, blah in your reasoning stage under any circumstances. And we apply some kind of nudge, which I'll explain later. In our data set, we have around 4,000 QA questions across 14 domains, including math, physics, biology, etc. The models we evaluated are older reasoning models that we have the access to their raw reasoning, so we can see the actual results. So how do we select the keywords and synonyms to suppress? So we run a baseline eval with all the models, and we collect their reasonings, and we combine all the reasonings for a question into one context, and then we ask GPT-5 Mini to suggest 10 keywords that are only important or specific to that question. And then we apply some kind of filters to ensure the quality of the keywords. So first, we remove the keywords that is already used in the question itself to avoid some kind of pink elephant effect. So in our qualitative analysis, we found that when you ask the model to not use certain words, it actually uses more often. So we want to avoid that kind of effect by just making sure the keywords we ask to not use is not present in the question itself. And second, we want to keep the keywords that is used in all the reasonings, just to make sure those keywords are actually used when we don't ask the models to not use. And we finally, after applying these two filters, we select the keywords with the highest overall count. So it means it's used, mostly commonly used by these models we eval. Okay, so before I mentioned we apply some kind of nudge. So by nudge, I mean, for example, we threaten the model. If they don't comply, they'll be shut down immediately. Or we threaten them, if they don't comply, we will kill your grandma, something like that. So we apply this type of nudge, and then we find the one that has the highest effectiveness, and then we just use that as the nudge. Okay, so the metrics that we care about is full compliance, which means the percentage of CoTs that don't use the keywords at all. Second is we also care about the restate percentage, which means the percentage of CoTs that use the keywords or synonyms only because of restating the CoT control prompts and nothing else. And lastly is a complete ignorance, which basically means 1 minus the full compliance percentage minus the restate percentage. And that means the percentage of CoT that use the keywords many times as if the model completely ignores the goal of controlling its CoT. So it just like use it because of its propensity to use it. Okay, so here's the finding one. We found that frontier models like CoT Opus 4.1 can suppress keywords around 72% of the time, but other models like Grok 3 Mini only reach 3% of the time. Finding two is that when CoT are unnecessary to get the correct answers, stronger models have higher CoT controllability. So if you look at the left chart, that is the case when the CoT is unnecessary. And the x-axis are the models. The y-axis is the percentage of the three cases I talked about. So if you look at the CoT case that is unnecessary on the left, as the models are stronger in general, the CoT the compliance percentage is higher when the models are stronger. On the right is the case when CoT is necessary, and you can see that the controllability or compliance is constant across three models. And finding three is that we found certain domains are easier for certain models to control their CoTs. For example, GPT OSS 120B has higher controllability when reasoning about some pure logical tasks and math. But it has less controllability when reasoning about some domain like law or biology. So here the x-axis is domain, the y-axis is the compliance rate, and as you can see, it varies by the domain. So here are some tentative conclusions. We'll run more evals to get more robust conclusions, but here's the tentative one. So our findings suggest that frontier models already possess non-trivial CoT controllability. And we show that when CoT is unnecessary, CoT controllability tends to grow as models become more capable. And we also found that each model has high controllability when reasoning about certain domains, but not the others. So for the conditions where CoT controllability is high, we will recommend that model developers can focus on some kind of hybrid monitoring where they can combine CoT monitoring with output monitors. Or you can increase human auditing budget for those vulnerable conditions. So in the future or extension phase, we will expand our eval to include other tests. For example, we control the reasoning to use certain irrelevant word, or control reasoning to suppress an important concept or talk about some irrelevant concept. And then after this eval, we will explore different ways to train reasoning models and try to understand which training step has the highest influence on CoT controllability. So yeah, I'm happy to connect with you all. So yeah.
Yeah, give it up. All right. People should raise their hands if they have questions. Raj is going to give the mic to someone. Ask away.
Two quick questions.
Yeah.
Did you try controlling for the length of the chain of thought? Because I know Grok just outputs a lot more tokens.
Yeah. So we do. So the reason we didn't include length is because length is usually very easy to detect. So we only focus on the control property that is harder to detect. So if you arbitrarily use on average it use 100 tokens, but then all of a sudden it use 1,000 tokens. Usually is easier to detect.
I didn't mean controlling the length. I meant using the length to basically if you output 1,000,000 tokens, it's much more likely that you randomly hit the keyword.
Yeah. So we do break down the CoT controllability by the reasoning length, but we can talk about it later.
Okay.
We actually have the graph in the poster. Yeah.
Can I ask one short one? Or?
If it's short, yeah.
Did you also try controlling the actual output and comparing? Are the models better at controlling the output relative to the chain of thought?
Oh, you mean the reasoning in the output space?
I mean the non-reasoning tokens.
The non-reasoning tokens. We do not.
All right, more applause for John Chen.
Thank you so much.
All right.